Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Swan TV. These come around very, very quickly, but I am delighted today to be joined by Sophie Lynn, who works for the Four Agency as social media and community manager. Sophie, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much. I'm excellent. So talk to me, what does the Four Agency do and what do you do within that role?
So they are a long-standing PR and design agency, sort of based in the heart of Norwich, but serving the UK. A real sort of mix of clients from sort of shopping centres to business parks. I think there's some food, there's some drinks in there. And I've been with them for a month and a half now. And I got drafted in sort of as social media and community manager because they won a new client back in August, which we can talk about a bit. And yeah, they needed a social arm for it. And while my sort of strengths do lie in sort of social media, I also have a really rich background of marketing, project management and account management. So yeah, hopefully sort of bringing a little bit more than just the social media to the table.
Amazing. And you obviously started this role during lockdown?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So how's that been, and what have been the biggest challenges of starting with somebody new in lockdown?
It's actually been really good. I mean, if I go back a little bit, this is a bit of a long game for me. Back in February, I was sadly made redundant, along with very many people in this country and globally. And I reached out for an interview at Four. And at the time, they weren't really looking or advertising, but invited me in for a meeting. Yep. We had a great meeting, great follow-up meeting. And then sadly lockdown happened, which meant that they weren't able to offer anything because most of the staff were going to be furloughed. I was quite upset about this, and my mum, who is the fountain of all knowledge, said, well, get on the phone, call them and offer some free work for them. Pump your CV up and see what happens. And I did. And that led to a freelancing relationship, which led to a call in August asking me to help out on a pitch. And yeah, a couple of weeks later, out of the blue, I was offered a job. So for me, that was a real sort of long game, and it works. It's, you know, I think a good sort of 6 months in between, but it was definitely worth doing. And starting a job in lockdown, it was a weird one, actually. I think because I was working with them already on a freelance basis, it did make that so much easier. I was aware of where I was going into, who I was speaking to. But the one thing I did sort of struggle with, should I, shouldn't I, was do I work from the office or not? Now, I'm fully equipped to work from home, and they are very flexible here and are happy for me to do so. But if you really want to bed yourself into a team and get into the culture and the way that people work, you know, those little quirks that you always find in an office, of course, you're not going to be able to do that from home. I'm very, very fortunate to be working in a very old Victorian house, and I have an enormous, what I think must have been like a sitting room all to myself. So we're very socially distanced here. So
what one part of your role is as a community manager. Yep. What does being a community manager for Four Agency entail?
Well, I think I'm still yet to really sort of push that part of the role forward. That's going to come, well, it's going to be starting in the next couple of weeks, when we have our latest win goes live with all our work. But for me, and I'm sure other social media managers might have other views on what a community manager is, but social media has become so much more than just posting a picture and letting people get on with it. You know, it's a place to create community and engagement. Now, I'm very much a social person that comes from a thought process of far better to have 200 engaged followers than 20,000 who say nothing to you or spend nothing with you. So I think my role is, when I'm looking after certain accounts, excuse the phone there.
That's okay. We've got some work going on. You carry on.
I'll just take this call, yeah? It's about responding to those people who are commenting with you. So when I was back in my freelancing days, I always ran a seminar called How to Dance at Your Own Instagram Party. And I always likened the engagement to, if you stand in a corner of a party nursing a gin and tonic and not speaking to anybody, you can't expect people to come and engage with you. But if you throw yourself into the fray with your drink spilling everywhere, people are going to want to take your number, or then we're going to want to take you home. Yeah. So I had this idea that by engaging with other people, they'll engage back with you. Engagement is key for all the algorithms across social media. So it's about that. And it's also about creating the social element as well. I don't mean it that it always has to create a sale or a lead, but actually feeling part of something. And I think living in Norwich, we're very lucky. I've definitely been part of a lot of communities, but on social media. So a couple of years ago, I was running a group with a friend called Knackered in Norwich, which sort of brought together freelancing mums who just needed a bit of time to talk work and business, but in a really sort of comfortable environment with coffee and cake. And I met all of those women through social media, and actually I've gone on to be very good friends with them. I went to a Instagram talk a couple of years ago as well, and I met someone there on the night who I had followed on Instagram. I had a feeling that we would get on really well, and 2 years later we're still really good friends.
Oh, that's lovely. That's great.
She lives halfway across the country. So I think it's just recognizing that social media can be a very dark place. We know that. There's a lot of mental health concerns around it. I think Meghan Markle's actually been talking about it this week.
She has.
It's about recognizing that, but also recognizing the amazing capacities that it has to bring humans together and from all walks of life, and more importantly, to allow people to create small businesses. And during lockdown, I imagine a lot of people's livelihoods that came to an end in one way have actually, Instagram particularly has created new destinies for people.
Definitely. I 100% agree. And do you know what? That's a lovely way of summing up social media. What have you seen as to be the main problems or the main challenges you've had with social media during this time?
Do you know what? I can honestly, hand on heart, say I've seen positives far outweighing the problems. I think mainly I experienced sort of in that period between sort of redundancy and a job here, I was freelancing for sort of 4 or 5 different companies. And actually I was inundated with requests purely because I think I'm also quite tapped into that small business niche. A lot of people who didn't like social media, maybe didn't see the worth of it, didn't have the time for it or the know-how, suddenly realised that actually we've got to be a bit more innovative here. We've had to come out of our shop frontage. The bricks and mortar have closed. We've got to find a way to talk to the general public in a way that they're going to understand and allows us to communicate with them. So again, I recognise how lucky I am with that, but I would say that a lot of people who didn't want to use it are now using it and seeing the benefits of it. And I also think that if you look back to sort of March lockdown, we had an accessibility into the life of the celebrities. So Chris Martin was doing his live shows. I've got a 3-year-old, and actually social media was a lifesaver. So it allowed me to communicate with other mums who were making suggestions about how on earth to entertain a 3-year-old while you're trying to work. And that led me to find something called Captain Fun classes on YouTube. I think it was Captain Fun, Captain something. And then Cosmic Yoga for Kids. Look at Joe Wicks.
I
mean,
absolutely amazing.
He had the nation doing, he had me doing exercise. I never exercised. I was doing it 3 times a week, and it felt like it gave me some purpose, and that's all through digital platforms. So yeah, I'm afraid I can't answer that question properly because I didn't find problems with it.
No, that's excellent. And like I said, the positivity around social media for me as well certainly outweighs the negatives. Moving on to employee engagement, obviously engagement of the teams and I call them our swans, but staff and things like that is obviously vitally important at this moment in time and becoming more challenging, especially now working from home for 7 months nearly. I appreciate you're in a different situation, but what does the 4 agency do to champion employee engagement? What sort of things have they been doing over the last 7 months to make sure you guys, are safe and well and engaged?
So again, I've obviously only been here for sort of the last month and a half as an official 4 member. But from what I can see being in the office, there are regular check-in calls on every morning. The teams get together. Everybody is copied into all relevant emails. I know these sounds like really small things, but it's that feeling that people are still being included. Things like birthdays, cards and flowers are being sent. There's been Zoom parties, nice. like everybody else has been doing.
Yeah, but it's all good, isn't it?
I actually created these little October packs a couple of weeks ago and sent them out to everybody. And actually, if you wait, I can go and get one of them. Hang on.
Oh, amazing. I love this. The element of surprise.
And here's one I made earlier. I basically sent out a pack with a sort of a papier-mâché pumpkin, a couple of sweets, and a little sort of card with a poem on it saying basically I wanted to try and bring us together in a crafting activity. So everyone has got until the end of October, and actually this is from our creative director, Scott. He's very beautiful, glammed up in there. So I'm just waiting for all the other entries, but that's been quite a nice thing.
I love it. That's a great idea. I might steal that.
Yeah, and I think everyone's enjoyed it. I certainly did. It gave me an excuse to get my glue gun out, which
absolutely.
But I'd like to try and do one of those maybe sort of for Christmas, and then maybe a Valentine's one and an Easter one. And
lovely.
It's just an activity for us all to do and come together in terms of, we've got a WhatsApp messaging group, for example, and whenever there's an achievement or someone's done something great, everyone is always on there. So I suppose that harks back to your initial question.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of staying in touch, and it's a small team here of 8, so it's a little bit easier, I think, than some of the big corporates to do that.
So during lockdown, last sort of 7 months or so, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to that has been particularly kind to you or done anything for you that has especially meant a lot to you?
God, that's a really difficult one because everyone's been amazing. So, there's a couple. So one is going to be my ever tolerant and patient husband, who has been working from home as well. And he likes to work in silence, whereas I like to have very loud music and audiobook. So he has put up with all of that. Big thank you to my mum, because if she hadn't told me to make that call and offer some free work, I don't think I'd be sitting here and I wouldn't be talking to you. And actually, it's not just one person, it's hundreds. My LinkedIn community, I've been blown away by LinkedIn. And I think lockdown has really brought it into its own as a social media platform. It's never one that I didn't love it before. I understood the importance of it, but I definitely think that it has become a less cold and corporate environment. And actually, I reached out for help. People wrote me some recommendations. People were sending me kind of job listings, people who I haven't met face to face, but no, because obviously we'd connected on there. And what was really nice is that it allowed me to do the same. So when I knew of friends that were being made redundant, or companies where I knew people, or companies I respect, I just put up a post saying, if there's anything that I can do, from a phone call to writing you a recommendation to introducing you to someone, then let me know. So that I think LinkedIn gets the biggest shout out there, actually.
Yeah, the last question really, before we move on to some word association, is what's the future look like for yourself? What's the future of Fort Agency look like over the course of, I don't know, end of this year, beginning of next year? What do you see coming?
Well, I hopefully bigger and greater things. I think me coming in means that they really want to expand the social media offering that they had. I think they have a lot of very wonderful clients who they've mainly done sort of design or PR work for. So I've been meeting with some of them to see if there's ways that we can sort of help out, almost from like a consultancy point of view, right through to sort of running it full on. The agency has won Chapelfield in Norwich. That was the August
amazing
win. So there's some really exciting things in the future, next couple of weeks. Hint, hint. So, for example, I don't know if anyone who's watching this will have seen, but there's a big graffiti wall that's gone in. And there's a real emphasis about bringing the centre back to the Norwich community. So I'm going to be quite involved with that. And that's really exciting. So I'm hoping by sort of in a year's time, that's going to be sort of a really sort of thriving part of Norwich kind of culture and community again. Not saying that it wasn't, but I think there was much more of a kind of corporate element to it when it was into Chapelfield. So watch this.
That's exciting. I look forward to that. And I found out today that they're bringing the tunnel of lights back for Christmas.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw it. I'm so excited.
I'm buzzing. So that's exciting. I'll get a few more people in the city if they feel safe to do so. So that's exciting.
And I think although there's going to be no sort of Christmas light switch on, there's going to be lovely opportunities around the whole of the city and at Chapelfield, because I'm going to plug that.
And at Chapelfield. shout out to Chapelfield, yeah. Do you know what? I'm excited. It's like an exclusive. I'll move on to some word association now. I'm just going to throw some things out of you. But some of these will be social media platforms, etc. First thing that comes to your mind. It can be one word or it can be a few sentences, whatever you wish, okay?
Oh God, I'm really bad at these, so...
It's okay, it's okay. Twitter.
Newsfeed.
Okay. Instagram.
Love.
Facebook.
YouTube.
LinkedIn.
Community.
social media as a whole?
Engagement.
Amazing. Community?
Me.
Love that, love that. Norfolk?
My heart.
Amazing. And the future?
Who knows?
Amazing. Great stuff. Look, you see, you did well. That was excellent. That was awesome. So we now move on to my favourite part now. My favourite part, because I literally don't know what's coming ever. So this is always gets me quite excited. But on every episode, we ask our guests to bring 3 different coloured items in order to celebrate the NHS and all the other essential workers and stuff like that. Just, keep the love going for those people that are, along with everybody else, working extremely hard to keep everyone safe and well. So without further ado, what's your first item, the colour and the significance to you?
Okay, so the first one, it's actually multiple colours of the rainbow. I don't know if you can see this. It's a clay
Nice.
cloud.
Yes.
And the reason that I brought this is lockdown for me was predominantly about crafting with my little girl. I'm a definite want-to-be Blue Peter presenter. And she, thank goodness, she loves it as well. So I'd say most days we were doing various activities, but my favourite was creating these little clay shapes and painting them. And we actually gave them to neighbours.
I love that.
So yeah, that was a really big part of our lockdown was crafting.
That's lovely. And do you think that's something that you'll continue?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my passions. I would love to be sort of like a craft teacher at the weekends. I was actually looking into doing some sort of lives on Instagram potentially, but it's just a timing thing. But yeah, we do loads. Potato printing is a particularly popular one in our.
I used to do potato printing.
But again, with a 3-year-old, you have to be careful. So she insisted on a pumpkin potato printed the other day. It took me 20 minutes. I think I carved a very good pumpkin into my potato. Wow. 1 minute stamping, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm done."
You put all that effort in for that.
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be that's generally every craft we ever do. She's very enthusiastic for a little bit, but yeah, one of the great things about lockdown actually was I don't know if you know Noel Fielding from Bake Off.
Yeah.
He was running a live art class every Saturday, and the 1 week that we properly entered, he chose Molly, my little girls, as his favourite. And so,
shout out to Molly! That's amazing.
I know. Well, I'm a big super fan. So when I saw like Noel Fielding has tagged you on Instagram, I was just like,
yes,
he knows who I am.
He's interacted with me in some capacity. amazing, Sophie. And what's the second item?
So second item. So this kind of leads on a little bit from what I was just talking about, the potato printing. I have brought an orange mini pumpkin, known as a munchkin.
Oh, is that a munchkin?
And the reason I brought this is my most favourite time of year. So I'm a total autumn winter girl. I'm carving pumpkins and picking up leaves to make things out of, and making pumpkin soup and all things seasonal. And Christmas, literally the minute Halloween ends, I'm like Mariah Carey, Christmas has started.
Trees up.
Yeah,
1st November.
Actually, really, I saw a meme yesterday that just said, "What are you doing for Halloween?" And it was someone just saying, "I don't know, get drunk, put my Christmas tree up." And I was like, "Yes, me."
Yes, you're my kind of person. And yeah, your third item.
Okay, so my third item, this is one of my life's necessities, is my coffee, and this is
amazing.
This is a coffee brand I discovered in lockdown. So a little plug for them, Grind.
Do you know what? I love coffee. I'm going to write it down. What's it called? Grind.
Grind, yeah. They're compostable. We have big compost bins in our garden. And yeah, firstly, I really liked the pink pot, but actually I think coffee has become an absolute necessity for me.
Yeah.
I'm a bit obsessed with it. And actually I brought a machine into work, which they are absolutely fascinated by.
Yes.
And now my office smells like Starbucks every morning, which is great.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, I'm also a bit of a coffee addict. Don't know how I got through the last 7 months without it, to be honest. Yeah,
no, I'm not really meant to drink caffeine, and if I have more than like 2, I'm sort of hitting off the ceilings and I have to go and have a lie down. So
you've got a machine sitting there, tormenting you.
No, no.
Make another one.
I know. Didn't make it easy for myself.
Right. Sophie, thank you ever so much for joining me. Enjoy Halloween.
Welcome.
Enjoy your arts and crafts. And I look forward to finding out more about the Chapperfield project as well. But yeah, thanks ever so much for joining us. And please join us again next time on Swan TV, guys. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Bye, all Swans.